This is Command Post, a series of discussions about military matters from Time and the Center for a New American Security.
Steve, 90% of the Afghan government revenues in recent years have come from the U.S. and other donors. This has distorted the local economy. It has bred corruption in the Afghan central government. Is this any way to groom a nation to live on its own in the out years?
Well, President Karzai periodically makes the counter-argument when we pressure him to clean up corruption, that a lot of the corruption was caused by the West, and he's absolutely right. When you flood one of the world's poorest developing countries with this scale of money in this short a time, then you create a huge scale of problem for yourself, which I think at the moment is at the very heart of the governance problem that we need to resolve if we're going to make any headway. One of the reasons why I'm pessimistic that a simple strategy of handoff and withdrawal will work is because if we do, when we withdraw following the handoff, we're withdrawing most of the Afghan economy with us. And not only will we be burdening them with an ongoing war of today's difficulty, we'll be doing it under a condition in which their own domestic economy may be collapsing around their ears at the time.
But why do we do this then? This seems so self-evident. Why do we flood a place like this with money?
We tend, for a variety of reasons, to be economic determinists in the United States in a fairly straightforward way. And I think the problem that we've observed in Afghanistan and also in Iraq, for that matter, is that there are all sorts of second and third order consequences of trying to solve an insurgency problem this way. Money is needed, people are needed, resources are needed, but they're not the heart of the problem. The heart of the problem is understanding the incentive calculus of local political leadership and changing it through outside leverage to cause it to be something that's representative enough of the interests of the people that they're governing that they can succeed against an insurgency posing an alternative model of governance. That requires a lot more than just raining doubloons from the sky, as we've tended to do in Afghanistan.
I think there's an absolute risk at this stage that the Afghanistan that results from our 10+ years there is a kleptocratic, narco-trafficking security state. I'm worried that our own actions and our own strategies, including counterinsurgency strategy, the way it's formulated, contributes to this inadvertently. I think 10 years in this country and we still don't understand what makes these societies tick. It makes me pessimistic about our possibilities of figuring that out in the next 2 or 3 years and getting that right.
Why is that so hard for us, Brian?
I think some of it was the local language and really understanding sort of who you're dealing with. Knowledge of the local culture, I think, is very important. From the rotation schedules of the military and the U.S. government, people go in there for a year, year and a half, sometimes with your State Department, you're there for 8 or 9 months, and then you transition out and you hand it off. That's no way to develop granular knowledge that is required there. And then at the end of the day, I think it may be not necessary for us to have this grand sort of pseudo-empire.
Brian's raising a really critical point, which is what kind of Afghanistan do we need when we leave? I think the administration believes, and I agree with them, that we can live with a much less ambitious Afghan political system than we set out for. But I think any sustainable Afghan political system is going to have to be able to constrain the degree of official predation on Afghan civilians that we see now and have contributed to so mightily with the way we've spent our own money over time.
Predation meaning theft?
Effectively theft. It's kind of clothed in nominally legitimate government action because crony networks control the government and they control the courts and they control the police. If we cannot resolve that, there is no imaginable end game for this that will enable us to limit Taliban influence in post-U.S. withdrawal Afghanistan. If we don't get on with the business of dealing with the political side of the campaign in general, and especially the problem of predatory activity by malign actors in the country in particular, then we're going to be in deep, deep trouble. I have been guardedly optimistic about the conduct of this war, and I remain so. But that guarded optimism is premised on the assumption that eventually the political side of our strategy is going to catch up with the security side, and we're running out of time.